You told me you fought from around 96 to 2003?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. And was it Muay Thai, kickboxing?
I did Muay Thai, kickboxing, and pancration at the time.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't really MMA then. Pancrase, did the King of Pancrase.
Nice.
But anything, pretty much at those times, especially the first couple of years of it, whatever I could do.
Gotcha.
You know, so a lot of those fights that we would do, especially up in Washington State, you know, that fight itself you'd have, it's kind of like the 1FC now. You'd have kickboxing, you'd have Muay Thai, you'd have pancration at those times and everything too. And this is back when pancration was no gloves. It's all open hand. So you can only do open hand slaps to the head, but punches to the body, all grappling, kicks and knees and everything too. So
Right.
it's always funny to me. It's the same as like Kyokushin, where you can't punch to the head, but you can kick someone to the head.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so I started with those and
Rough rule set back then.
rough rules. And a few of the years too when I did it was open weight also.
Wow.
Not a lot of weight classes yet. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, they'd usually do the weight classes.
Yeah.
Left arm up, rotate.
What's like the biggest person you fought in that situation?
Probably the biggest person was, they were around like 6'2", 6'3", probably around 240.
Yikes.
Yeah, and I gained weight at that time too to just try and get a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So I think I was walking around 180.
How'd that go?
It was not good. I felt sluggish. I didn't feel as strong or anything too. So, especially because a lot of my fights were 155, 145.
Gotcha.
Lowest I ever went was 140.
That's crazy that you fought somebody that big.
Yeah. So, but you know,
it was the wild, even more the Wild West back then.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, especially like, you know, gonna start in 96 and it's probably been around 98 on there, and you know, did some different type of fights that were in San Pedro actually. Back in the day when I first moved down, because I moved down here at the end of 97, and then roughly around like 99 or so.
Are these the off the grid?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there used to be some bars in San Pedro that would do those.
Wow.
On there and everything too, so.
Now it's almost impossible to find a venue there.
Oh yeah, it's weird. I mean, but obviously it was very different. Then, and not sanctioned or anything too. They're more smoker style, I guess, but.
Now, Coach Anthony, I can't help but ask. You mentioned the Blue Ranger, the Blue Ranger helmet.
Yeah.
You did some stunt work.
I did. So almost a little over 20 years ago, I met some people who were doing the set work for the Power Rangers and everything too, and I was teaching them kickboxing and, you know, martial arts, and I went up there with them one day because he invited me to set, and I met all the guys doing it, and this would have been Power Rangers Zeo, so it wasn't the original ones or anything too. I met a lot of people and started kind of just messing around with them, and then they asked me if I wanted to ever consider doing that kind of stuff. I did, but I didn't know how.
Yeah.
And so they kind of just threw me in there as like kind of a stunt extra a lot of times, just throwing like whatever putty suits on, whatever like monster suits I could get, and doing martial arts with them. And then when Power Rangers in Space started, I was the same size as the guy doing it, and so I did all the stunts for him.
Wow.
So I wore the suit, did all that kind of stuff too, because we were the same height.
So you were Billy, essentially. It was Billy.
It wasn't Billy, no,
was
it was after.
Oh,
After
okay.
But I was basically the same size as Billy and everything.
How was that experience, man? That's
it was
pretty
fun.
amazing.
I mean, it's crazy, very, very different, you know, very Wild West stunt-wise and everything too, and super fun. I mean, we were having a blast out there doing it, and you know, very cool. I mean, I'd never done stunts before then. I mean, besides me and my friends just messing around.
Right.
And like, you know, whatever stage combat for drama you do. But yeah, that was my experience first with stunts. Crazy times. Learned a lot from them and everything too. A lot of cool people out there, and got me jobs later.
Yeah. And so I was going to ask you about that. I mean, what other kind of stunt work were you able to do?
Yeah, so I mean, I worked on Dark Angel. I worked on Alias. Those shows, a bunch of episodes here and there for them. A lot of smaller movies, not a whole lot of big movies or anything I didn't do this time, but projects. I did a lot of just stunts for commercials, for different music videos, back when they would make music videos, crazy stuff. So I did a lot of stunts and different things for those. I was in the entire run of a show called Birds of Prey.
Wow, nice.
On there, and that was that was really fun because I'm a huge Batman fan. It was kind of a Batman show, I guess. But
is that something you're still doing?
Not as much now. I did it every now and then with a couple companies, and I did some pilots, but once I became full-time, basically doing coaching here, and I wasn't working any kind of regular jobs, it kind of was like I wanted to dedicate myself more to this.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome, and this is why we're here.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, you know, fighting is not the easiest business.
No.
Why did you kind of get into this, and you know, what did your family think about you getting into it?
Originally, they were not excited about it. I mean, they knew I loved movies and martial arts and everything too, and I did wrestling, but I kind of quit a lot of the team sports in high school to focus on the fighting aspects. They were behind. The one thing I can say about my family was they were behind me 100% of the way, even if they didn't want to see it.
I see.
So that was a nice thing. They didn't want to ever see me fight. They didn't want to go to them. They didn't want to do those things, but they at least would, like my mom would show up for my first few just in the morning to sign the paper because I was 17. I wasn't 18 yet, so I couldn't sign my own waivers or paperwork or anything. Any license, so she had to show up and do all that for me. So she would do that, but they wouldn't. So they were pretty good about supporting it, but not really wanting to see it ever or be there for it. So it was tough.
And what kind of drew you to fighting, of all things?
I mean, a lot of it was, obviously movies got me into martial arts and everything too. I 100% grew up being bullied all the time. I was always the smallest in class, always the shortest. In my hometown, especially in high school and stuff like that, the average height is about 6 foot.
Wow.
So I'm well under that. 5'6" and a half. I like to say feel 5'7" on a good day if I put shoes on, but about 5'6" and a half. And so much smaller than everybody too. And so in high school and everything too, I always did sports and everything too, but I always had something, I guess I always had something to prove because I was bullied my whole life because of my size. I mean, luckily I had 2 older sisters and one of them very aggressive. I mean, super aggressive and too. She actually used to
love that.
Kickboxing too.
I love that.
She was always a person that like no one could beat my brother up except for me.
Right.
So it's kind of that one, and so it was good and bad stand up, but it was also the whole aspect of like she got me wanting to feel more confident and everything too.
I love that. I love that.
And you know, in high school I started lifting weights also because I was also very skinny. I was a kid that was fast and everything too, but I was a short, skinny kid, and so
still pretty fast.
So I tried to get
pretty fast.
But then I started lifting weights. I started doing a lot of that stuff. So I got known for being able to lift heavy and being very strong.
Nice.
And then
people stopped messing with you a little bit.
Kinda, yeah. I started messing with me too, and then because I didn't really have an outlet, I did wrestling as well, but not as much. And then when I did fighting, it was a huge outlet, and I loved the striking aspects. I mean, I love wrestling and jiu-jitsu and grappling. I've done that for years, but striking is my base. That is where my love lies.
I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, but that's kind of where I did. I mean, I wanted to prove it to myself, prove to other people that I don't deserve to be bullied and they can't bully me anymore. I want to help other people showcase that you don't have to be. Just because your size. Obviously, I wear glasses too, so this isn't. I mean, it's pretty bad today, especially with social media and everything too, bullying and stuff too. But back in the '80s and stuff like that, growing up, wearing glasses as a short kid, you're immediately picked on.
Right.
So, especially the town, the main town. So the town I'm actually from is called Cosmopolis, and that's a population of 1,600. The big city next to where you go to high school and stuff like that, that's Aberdeen, and that's population roughly about 16,000.
Okay.
So still not a very big
city. Still small places. Yeah.
Still small and everything too. And so
the land of the giants.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's a harbor town. It's a lumber industry, so it's all log. We call them loggers. People back then they call them lumberjacks. But it's a logging industry is huge there and everything too. And so it's that mentality and. They grow them big there for that, too. A lot of that mentality and stuff, and I wasn't that way. And my dad was a cop growing up my entire life too.
Okay.
And so, that was good and bad. So you get the goodness of learning some of it, but the badness of your dad being a cop. The cop's kids, if you'll pick on you about that too, or
Well, nobody's really picking on you anymore, I don't think.
No, not too much, but. I'm also, I don't know, it helped me fuel, my, I guess, aggression and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Into this kind of things and hitting stuff and everything too, so I could be a lot more of a mellow person, which I was in general. And I had an outlet on there.
Anthony, how long has Brood 9 been here in Lomita?
So Lomita, it's been here 7 years.
Wow.
So we've been here, obviously this place has completely changed since when we moved in.
Yeah.
But we've been here 7 years. I used to teach it out of a Taekwondo studio over in basically Westchester area near LAX airport. So right near Fox Hills Mall and all that stuff too. I used to teach when I could out of there. And then, but technically Brood 9 has been around 25 years. So it started in 95.
Wow.
Yeah, so the name Brood 9 number 2 started because there was 9 of us.
I see.
We were all great friends. Everybody hang out all the time, training together, doing everything together. We all came from that kind of area, being bullied or picked on, and we all were geeks. We all loved comic books. We all loved, you know, any kind of geeky stuff that could happen at that time, which, you know, wasn't as popular as now.
The geeks are getting some shine now.
They're getting a lot of shine now. Good. Grab some water. Yep. They're getting a little shine now, which they didn't back then.
Yeah.
You know, if you liked things like role-playing games, you liked things like comics, you liked fantasy, stuff like that, then it was a whole different situation. So we all came from that. And in broken homes at times and you know, different stuff. So we all just kind of came together and loved martial arts and loved this stuff. So we trained, and one of our friends, Hank Wound, came with the name Brood 9 to kind of name all of us.
Cool, man. Cool.
Too, so been a long time.
I like that. Passing that knowledge down to these young bucks.
Absolutely, if I do. How you guys feeling? Finally warm?
It's good.
I was gonna go keep on actually coming up. I stopped coming up. Sheer arm blown in my leg.